Sorry. Hello, everybody. Once again, good evening. Happy to have you around. It's another good Monday evening. Hope our day went well. Thanks for having you around. It's your host once again, Dioma. A minute, please. So today we are talking about layman's measurements, baking measurements, and we are going to make a simple snack after I've explained layman's measurements and how it's done. Let me write down the topic on the banner so we can see it. Layman's measurements and layman's baking measurements, and we're going to make a snack today. In baking and pastry making, measurements is one very important step we need to know because if you don't get the measurement of whatever you're making, you are going to actually end up with what you did not expect. That's why every pastry or cake that you want to make, it always has measurements. It's either you are making 250 grams of flour with 250 ml of water, they will tell you 75 gram of butter or margarine, or 1 teaspoon of salt, or 1 tablespoon of baking powder. So we always see things like teaspoon, tablespoon, cup. Those are normally the normal terms we hear whenever we want to bake or want to make any pastry. So today I'm going to teach us some basic measurements and how we can achieve it in our homes, even if we don't have the measuring cup that we need to have. Because if you're not a professional baker, you might not need all those, see the need to have measuring cups and spoons. So with whatever we have in the house, we can still estimate and at least get the measurement we need and be able to make that pastry you so desire, or make that cake we so love to eat. So when you hear a tablespoon is equivalent to our normal eating spoon, this, but it's not the coned one. As you know, when you shove the spoon, especially when you are taking things like flour, sugar, the thing might get cold. No, it has to be leveled at least to some extent. Yes, that is what we call a tablespoon. And the teaspoon is the smallest spoon that we use, as the name is called teaspoon. Is the smallest spoon we use for this. So three of this is equals to one of this. When you hear 3 teaspoon, is equivalent to 1 teaspoon. Yes, 1 teaspoon is around 15 grams. 1 teaspoon is around 15 grams. So in case you see put 15 grams of butter, or 15 grams of salt, or 15 grams of sugar, or 15 grams of oil, or fat, what they are telling you is 1 tablespoon. And this is equals to 5 grams. So that's why 3 of your teaspoon is equals to 1 tablespoon. Is equals to 1 tablespoon. One medium sized egg is equivalent to 50 grams, or 70, or there about 50 to 70 grams. So these are the little measurements we want to know, because in baking we work with grams, tablespoons, teaspoons, meal. Remember, in meal, when you're measuring liquids, you are talking of meals, not grams again. Meal, not grams. So 1 cup is around 120 grams. 1 cup is 120 grams. But we know now, if you don't have the measuring cup, this milk tin cup is what we normally use as our grams, as our cup. This is what we normally use. So this can also serve as this can also serve as 1 cup. This can also serve as 1 cup. So this is equivalent to a leveled cup is about 100 to 120 grams, while a cone cup is about 150 grams. But it's not the same thing for sugar. Yes, sugar is heavier than flour. So 2 cups of flour is equals to half cup of sugar. So that means half cup of sugar is 2 cups of flour in baking. So that's why if you want to make cake, because thank you Chidimma, I cite you. You can also drop your contributions. Thank you, you're welcome. If because they say put 1 cup of sugar, you understand, and they say normally sef, in exact maybe for some cake recipes, that's where you see the quantity, the gram of sugar and flour is the same, because cake is a very sweet pastry. But whenever you're making things like snacks, the gram is usually not the same. You can see 500 grams of flour with 150 grams of sugar. 150 grams of sugar. That 150 grams of sugar, let me 150 grams of sugar. Okay, a cup of sugar is like 200 grams. A cup of sugar is 200 grams. So that's why I say 2 cups of flour is equals to one of this, or half of this. So 1 cup of sugar, sorry, 1 cup of sugar is equals to 2 cups of flour. So because a cup of sugar is 200 grams and a cup of flour is 100 grams. When I'm talking of a cup, I'm talking of a leveled cup, not a coned cup, not a coned cup. So let me explain it all. So then a cup of water we know is 250 ml. A cup of water is 250 ml. A cup of water is 250 ml. So before we start making the snack, let me just take us back a bit to what I said. Whenever you're baking, you'll be hearing things like tablespoon, teaspoons, cup, mil, gram, and kilogram. So when you see tablespoon, your normal eating spoon can serve as a tablespoon, and your teaspoon can serve as your teaspoon. A tablespoon is equals to 15 gram. A teaspoon is 5 grams. So that means 3 teaspoons will give you 1 tablespoon. 3 teaspoon will give you 1 tablespoon. 2 cups of flour is equals to a cup of sugar. Sugar is heavier than flour. So whenever you are measuring your sugar, when you want to bake, you no don put 1 cup of sugar, put 1 cup of flour. No, as in the sugar is going to overshadow the flour. That's why I said from the beginning that measurement is very important in baking. You cannot just wake up one day and just say, okay, flour, bring flour. You put, bring sugar. Even the pancake will make sef. You need measurement. If you are putting sugar, you are either putting pinch of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 egg. Everything is still measurement. So that is the layman's measurement I'm talking about. At least if you don't have all those measuring cups, these things can help you do your measurements. It can help you do your measurements. So in case, if like this one now, this is a cup. So if you want to get 250 ml, please just put water inside this cup. A full cup of it is your 250 ml of water. Is your 250 ml of water. So it's your 250 ml of water. So you instead of say, which cup is equivalent to 250 ml, how will I know I need to put 250 ml of water? This is your 250 ml of water here. So today we are going to make buns. We are going to make buns. I'm not going to talk too much so that we can go into action. In case you have any question or you have any contribution, please just drop it in the comment section. I'll be visiting the comment section once in a while as we make our snack. Today we are making a very yummy and rich buns. Yes, buns is a rich pastry. Why? Why do I call it a rich pastry? Because it has eggs, has butter, has milk. Yes, and those are the ingredients that actually make your pastry rich. So today we are making a rich buns. So let me so we are going to start making the buns. We're going to start making buns. Delicious Abby, you're welcome. Yes, I took your advice yesterday. I actually have my own product this while. I'll just play you. Thank you for the notification yesterday. Yeah, she had a very good, a wonderful life yesterday. She was talking about teaching hazards. So we can visit her channel and go and watch it. Said a lot of things, even using apron when cooking. That's why I'm smiling. All right, thank you. So it's time to make our buns. All right, now you are going to see more of my hands working. You won't be seeing my face much. So I already have my ingredients here with me. I have the flour, the eggs, the baking powder, nutmeg, salt, sugar, powdered milk, and my melted butter. Yes, I'm going to use melted butter today. Please, if you can hear me, just signify so that I can continue. I'm going to use melted butter today. So how did I achieve my melted butter? I put it inside boiling water, put it in a plate that can absorb heat, and put it in boiling water. That is how you are going to achieve melted butter. I decided to use melted butter today. So, number one thing you should know whenever you're working with flour, please always sieve your flour. Always sieve the flour. It's very important. Always sieve the flour because sometimes there's there's kind of as in the flour can be lumpy or that you just need to break it. It's going to help give it some air space. And also if there are any unwanted stuff inside the floor, unwanted debris, unwanted thing inside the floor, the sieve is going to help get it out. And always use a dry hand, dry bowl to do whatever you want do, to do whatever you want to do. So we are going to start. I have my 4 cups of flour here, 4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to sieve it. I'm going to be giving detailed explanation while I do this, and you can ask your questions. I'm here to answer. So most of the pastries I'll be making on my live stream, I'm going to be making more of baking powder pastries because they are less time consuming. When you want to work with yeast, you need to keep it for some minutes or even hours for it to rise. But for baking powder, you don't need to keep it that long. You can see I have some little lumps here. So just imagine you put it and you just start turning. So I'm going to sieve this out. So we are going to mix all our dry ingredients. We are going to mix all our dry ingredients. When I talk about dry ingredients, I mean those ones that are not wet in any way. So my dry ingredients, I have my nutmeg here. This is 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm also going to sieve my nutmeg. Yeah, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. So this is it. Keep this aside. Then I put my 1 teaspoon of salt. The balance of salt and sugar in pastry is very nice. This is half cup of sugar. The balance of salt and sugar when making pastries is very nice and delicious. So always try to balance up salt and sugar whenever you're making pastry. Mhm. Okay, so then I have my baking powder. Like I said, three teaspoons is equals to 1 tablespoon. So I have from the recipe, I have 3 teaspoons. So this is 1 tablespoon of baking powder. So I'm going to mix this thoroughly. Gonna mix this. I'll drop the full list of the ingredients in the description of this video. So mix it very well. Yeah. So I'm going to clean this place a bit. I'm done with this, so it's going to shift so that I can have space to. So while I've done that, I'm going to measure out 4 tablespoons of milk. So I'm using my measuring spoon to measure this out. So I'm using powdered milk for this. You can see how I'm measuring. I'm not just scooping like this. No. When I scoop it, I level it. This is a tablespoon. This is not a tablespoon. This is wayo tablespoon. So this is a tablespoon. Yes. So I'm using 4 tablespoons. If you want yours to be richer and sweeter than mine, oh, you can do that kind of measurement I just did. Ah, so then I'm going to break my eggs. I'm using 4 eggs. 4 eggs. This is a very rich bun, so rich pastry. That's why sometimes you see buns is more expensive than puff puff. This is the reason. Most times puff puff you don't put all these eggs, milk, all the paparazzi. No, puff puff is just a very sharp mix. As far as you have the salt and butter balance, sorry, salt and sugar balance, then you put your yeast. If you want, you can add. If you want, you can add what, as in you can add milk to it. If you want, if it's the one you are enjoying in the house, you can add milk to it, you can add egg or whatever you want to add. But sometimes over designed puff puff don used to be very nice. Is that puff puff that has less ingredients. Is that puff puff that has less ingredients. That is the one that is very yummy. But I don't know if I'll be able to make puff puff on a live show, on a live stream, because puff puff after mixing you need to keep it for like 30 minutes to rise. 30 minutes to 1 hour. It depends on the temperature. If the weather is cold, then it's going to take you a lot of time to rise. If the weather is warm, or you can use warm water or hot water to fast track the rising. So that's why I said I'm going to be making more of baking powder pastries. So I'm going to use my spatula, yes, to mix this. So I'm going to make a hole in the middle, make a hole in the middle. Now I'm going to add water to this to mix it. Please, while you are making this, be very careful with water. Be very careful with water, because this one I'm not going to tell you add 250 ml of water or add 150 ml of water or add this. No, you are going to be adding the water gradually to gauge it so that you will know when it's okay. And every pastry, has its texture. That's why most times I tell people you really need practicals to know how the texture of each pastry is. The texture of the dough of buns is different from the dough of meat pie, and is different from the dough of puff puff. um Puff puff dough is usually almost like a batter. Yes, it's a bit, it's very soft. Meat pie dough, all the doughs are very different. That's why you need practical most times to see what the texture of these snacks is like. So this is my milk. I did not add too much water. I just added little because I already have my egg and I have my liquid milk and butter, my melted butter. So here I have 4 tablespoons of melted butter. 4 tablespoons of melted butter. You can as well use the butter unmelted, but I decided to melt it so that I'll have a very easy mix. I'll have a very easy mix. Please, I'll come back to the comment section. Let me just mix this thing sharp sharp. Then I'm adding the eggs. Yeah, the eggs. Then the milk. The milk, I'm not even going to add oil yet. I'll just leave a little. Then I'm going to mix. So that in case the dough is not enough, as in the mixture is not a way I want it, I'm going to add more. Okay, so I will need more water, more of the milk. I'm going to add some water here to rinse it out. Add here, yeah. Why you need to be adding water gradually to till you get your required mixture is because most times when you are working with measurements and you now pour too much water and miss the quantity of water and you are now adding extra flour, you actually, as in that measurement has been diluted. So that's why you need to be very careful, except measurements that are very specific. Even measurements that are very specific, even measurements that are very specific, you still need to do it gradually, because sometimes a specific measurement can still not really work, especially when it comes to fluid. And when you are working with things like egg, melted butter, melted fat, you have to be very careful when you are adding water. So I'm going to add very little more. My dough is going to be a bit pasty, but not too pasty. Not too pasty. Yes. I'm using a wooden spatula to do this, so that I'm going to turn it like as if I'm turning a bag. So that I can mix it very well. You can use your hand to mix if you want, but I'm using my spatula because I don't want flour to stick to my hands. So that's why I'm using this. So you mix it very well until everything has mixed properly. So I don't know, can we see the texture of the dough? Can see? Yes, this is my texture. The texture of my buns is a bit pasty, but it's not too pasty, uh, and it's not too doughy. So I've gotten my desired texture. So I'm going to clean this out. Then, and I'm going to cover it to rest for like 15 minutes, or just say just 10 minutes, so that the sugar can melt, and the baking powder can also act on it. So let me get my, so I'm going to cover this. You can see, so this is, all right. Yes, so we finish mixing. Whenever you're making either chin chin or whatever snack you're making, and you're working with baking powder and granulated sugar, please, after mixing your dough, always cover it, even if it's for 5 minutes. Let it rest. Don't just mix and start frying. Don't just mix. Sometimes some people, you see some people say they kept it inside the fridge to rest for like 20 minutes. All those resting is so that what if the sugar can melt, and the baking powder can also act. Baking powder is a rising agent. So that's why you see most times when you make this snack, and it's you put very little in the fire, you see it was going to rise and it will become big. To become big. The difference between baking powder and yeast, both of them are rising agents. So yes, I've covered it well. I mean, thank you. The difference, both of them are rising agents, but most times baking powder give you that crunch in snacks. That's why I see when you fry things like donut, cake, you see it breaking. Sometimes those breaking here, it's going to rise it, but you have those break. That's why things like biscuits, meat pie, fish roll. Though in fish roll we have the yeasted fish roll and we have the baking powder fish roll. So things like that, you use baking powder. Even cake, you cannot use yeast for cake. The cake will just yeast can rise, and yeast gives a very doughy snack. That's why I see donut is airy and doughy. Bread is airy and doughy. But when you have buns is not usually doughy, it usually breaks a bit, and there's a way the pattern of rising is. I don't know if you understand what I mean. If you eat snack a lot, you maybe just take note of the difference between a yeast donut and a baking powder donut. Or you can buy meat pie and donut and check the difference in the dough. Every snack has its dough measurement. This measurement Vicky's corner, thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Good evening. I'm happy to have you around. Eh, Said I'm trying to understand. Please, what should I explain so that I can elaborate on it while we are waiting for our snack to relax a bit, so that I can elaborate on English. It is well. Elaborate. Elaborate on it. So that I can elaborate. Yes, it's true. It's hard and it breaks. The baking powder. That's why baking powder has measurements. When you overput baking powder in your food, it's going to, like in cake. When you overput baking powder in cake, you see your cake cracking. Your cake is not supposed to crack on top. Your cake is supposed to be smooth, soft and nice on top. When you see your cake cracking and is strong, as in, that shows that, man, maybe you've put too much baking powder, or maybe your butter is not enough, or this, as in, something has gone wrong in your measurements. So measurement is very important. So like I said before, when you're measuring, in case you don't have all the measuring cup and all the measuring spoon, all the measuring cup and all the measuring spoon that you need. Okay, yes, it's not every snack. Ouch. It's not every snack that, let me stand straight. the, it's not every snack that you use yeast and baking, as in, there are yeasted snack and there are baking powder snack. Okay, example of snack that you use yeast: bread, donuts. Though donuts too has its, there's one that they also do with baking powder, and most times things that you use baking powder, snack you use baking powder, those are the snack that you usually bake. That's why it is called baking powder. Those are the snack. Yes, we bake bread too, but you can see, whenever you make bread, you can see the texture of the bread. And when you bake that bread, you put it in the oven, you can see it doubles in size and it comes up. um Now, baking, things like buns is baking powder, and there are some you don't even use any rising agents. When you hear things like unleavened bread, you don use any rising agent. Even sometimes we make pancakes, like the local pancake we make in the house. The one my mother taught us those days, we don use baking powder or yeast to make it. You just use your flour, egg, pepper, onions, egg, sugar and salt, and that is all. And you will see, any flour meal that you did not use baking powder, you see there's a way the dough, or that you don use a rising agent, there's a way the dough is usually gummy and pasty. What rising agent actually does, it gives the snack or the flour a air space or breathing space, and it makes it fluffy. Baking powder will give you that fluffy, or even yeast will give you that fluffy nature that you see in the snack you want to make. So that's it. Things like shawarma bread is yeast. All those things we like eating. Pizza, even pizza bread. I think I'm going to make pizza bread here. One day in this life, I'm going to make pizza, homemade pizza, so that we can see. I'm going to make it from scratch, from the bread to the filling and everything, so that we'll see how it's made. So that is it. So while this is resting, let me put the oil on fire, let it start heating. Excuse me, please. See you later. Just give me a minute. I'm in the background, though. I'm in the background with you. I just wanna put my auto down. Please enjoy my small music, oh. I just wanna put the oil to heat, so we can fry our bum and enjoy the crunchy taste. It's a good evening. I'm still with you. I'm coming. I'll need to transfer the camera to the cooking spot. Mhm. I'm still here, please. All right. Okay, so we are here to fry. I have my oil heating. Like the last live, we talked about shallow frying and deep frying. Today we are going to shallow deep fry. Whenever you are making snack like this, we normally deep fry because we are using a rising agent in this course. Because when it gets into the oil, it needs to, after sinking, it comes up. So if you don't have enough oil space to make it come up and fry, then it's going to burn and you're not going to get that beautiful golden brown color you need. So that's why we are deep frying this, and we are going to fry on medium heat. We're going to fry on medium heat so that the buns will cook gradually and cook inside. Yeah, we're going to cook it gradually and it's going to cook directly all through. So that's why we're going to cut it as small as possible, but not too small because when it's too small, it's not going to have that nice soft dough you want inside. So now the oil is getting hot. I'm going to bring my dough and we're going to, so you can see. Mhm. it has rested, and what you use and know is it's now, as in the texture is now like more fine, more smooth, and that's how we know. That's why it's good to allow your snack to rest. So I'm just going to mix this a bit, not too much, because too much kneading and too much mixing back will now make it become too stretchy. So that's why I'm not going to overmix this. So just have a plate of clean water by your side. Just keep it a bit far away from the fire, a bit far away from the fire, so that as you are doing, you are touching the water in case your hand is becoming soft. And I'm going to try to make it as round as I can. I'm not, it's not a machine. See the size, like our normal garri size. You will see this little thing that I put inside this fire. Man, you will see how it's going to rise. So just, I don't know how I'm going to make it come close so that we can see it coming up. So I'm making it as round as possible and as small as I can. In those days, can you all see how I'm cutting it? Mhm. You can see the oil is not too hot. Just like I said before, let your oil not be too hot, because when it's too hot and you put it inside, it's not going to cook properly and it's not going to rise the way you want it to rise. You can see it's already sailing up. See what you use and know is sailing up. You can see it's already dancing on top the oil and it's coming up. It will turn by itself. You can see. I don't know. Can we see how it's turning by itself? So that is to tell you that we actually got our mixture. So just be putting it in small, small, roll it as round as you can. uh And sometimes after frying your buns, you see those beautiful small cracks. It's normal for buns to have it. Our hands are still the best cutters. All those mechanical cutter that we have. You know, with your hand you can maneuver size. You can see that little buns I'm frying. You can see how big it is. Don't worry, when this one finish frying, I'll bring it out and you see how big it is. Buns is one of the easiest snack to make because you don't need a kneading board or you don't need any special thing to knead your snack. Knead it. As far as you have your bowl, you have your flour, you have everything. You can see the buns is dancing in the oil. You can see. And it's dancing in the oil. Let me see if I can bring it down more. Yes, at least this one I cut it. I tried. It's dancing in the oil. So that this is what is going to tell you that yes, you can see it's rising, it's rising, it's rising. We're also going to make egg roll. So you see the difference between the egg roll measurement and buns measurement. You see their measurements will be very different. So we're going to make that. So I don't know if you can see the bubbles on my fire on top the oil. Most times you see that those of us that used to make chin chin at home, when you fry your chin chin, You will see sometimes foam from the oil will not even allow you to put too much chin chin. Why? One, your chin chin is too rich, too much eggs in the chin chin, milk too. So that's why when you are making your chin chin, no matter how rich you want to make it, please don put one crate of egg inside 5 cups of flour, or one crate of egg inside 6 cups of flour. No, it's going to affect your fry. Or you carry the whole 500 gram of milk and pour inside because you want to make rich chin chin. No, it's going to affect how it's going to fry. You can see how beautifully this one is frying gradually. I have low flame here. I'm using, if you have gas, know how to regulate your gas when frying, because it's going to help a lot. You can see, oh God, don't worry, I'm going to snap these buns and I'm going to put the picture on my community so that we can see how beautiful this snap is. We might not see the beauty on this live, but we're going to see the beauty. I'm going to snap it. So buns and puff puff, which one do you prefer? What's your best? Yeah, both are Nigerian normal snack. So buns and puff puff, which is your best? Buns and puff puff, which one do you like the most? Buns and puff puff, which do you prefer? Buns o. Me, I like puff puff oh. I like puff puff because it's very soft. Okay, now I'm going to show you that small puff puff buns that I cut. Okay, you see, they say one man's meat. Vicky don't like puff puff because of his drawing nature. Me, I love it because of how stretchy it is. Okay, you can see that small puff puff I cut. Sure, you can see how big it is. Yes, this is the work of baking powder, and you can see how round it is. Yes, so if you can see it, so this house is golden brown. I'll start bringing this out. You can see it's fried gradually. This took almost 5 and actually I did not time it. Ehen. I cannot really tell you use 10 minutes to fry or 15 minutes to fry because it depends on your cooking gas or your cooking fire. So I cannot really tell you, and depends on how you pot it. That will determine how fast or how long it will fry. So and this yummy beautiful see, yeah. Hope you try this. Okay, before my oil will start getting too hot again, let me start cutting the next set. This one is sharp sharp oh, but if you leave your oil unattended to, it will start overheating. So you have to do it very fast. Mhm. Sometimes you might even need to off the fire, and on it back in case if your oil has overheated. Like I said in my last live, I talked about frying method. If your oil is too, if your if your fire, if your oil is too cold, it's going to make whatever you are making to soak oil. What you need is the perfect frying oil, which is not too hot, not too cold, is in the middle. And you can only achieve that with medium flame, with medium heat. I'm going to show you the flame I'm using to fry this. So I'm using a big burner. I'm using a big burner to do this, so I reduce it to the last. But if you are using a smaller burner, you might not need to reduce it the way I'm reducing it. And if you're using a smaller pan too. So there are so many things, so many factors that are considered, that is considered. There are so many factors that you consider when frying. So that's why I can't really say, okay, oh, do it like this, so, or fry it for 50 minutes or 10 minutes. No, because the sizes of our cooking, you can see how plenty these 4 cups has given me. So in case you just want to make the one you people want to eat in the house, I will advise you, just just do 2 cups ahead. Or if you have at your location, you can do this and cut it, make it smaller. But if you want to get quantity, what we do is, if they tell me make 4 cups of flour and I don't want to make the complete 4, and okay, how do I get my quantity of butter, how do I get my quantity of sugar? Simple, just divide it by 2, just divide it by 2, and that is it. You are good to go. Divide it by 2 and you are good to go. You can see this one is frying gradually. Mhm. So sometimes when it start frying, when you know it has started cooking, is when it starts breaking. Okay, okay, no problem. Thank you for coming, Annie. Thanks for making this yummy snack with us. Don't worry, I'm going to weigh bill your own, yeah? Mm-hmm. I'm going to weigh bill your own. So in case you are just joining us, we are making buns, and I talked about layman's measuring layman's measurements, baking measurements, how we can actually achieve measurements if we don't have all the measuring cups and spoons that professionals have. Why it's fried like this is because I'm not putting all at the same time. So the ones that are cooking, I'm removing and I'm adding, so that we are almost done with this. Thank you all for joining. I'm truly grateful. Like I said, we'll be making more snack, egg roll, fish roll, meat pie, pizza. Uh, most of the snack I'll be making baking powder snack. I might not be able to make yeast snack because of the time I need to keep it to rise. So that's why I'll be making baking powder, more of baking powder. I'm cutting this as round as I can. Mhm. So I think this should be the last one. This one is for the last one. Okay, that one was for second to the last born. And this one is for the last born. All the last borns in the house, a present. Alright, we're done. Yeah. You can see this, it's fried gradually, uh, small, small. And I did not cut it too big, big. And I have that my golden brown color. This is what deep frying can achieve for you. Shallow frying won't do this. Mhm. So this is our yummy buns. Delicious, glorious, delicious, and yummy. Just take this one with a chilled cup of juice. Hmm. Or just add some fried dry meat, peppered meat to just keep by your side. Oh God, your evening is made. Your evening is made. Yes, voila, I'm done. So you can see the flame very low. This is the original flame. So I'm done with this. So this is our yummy snack. So my sister Vicky, sometimes you just need to enjoy yourself small. Just need to enjoy yourself small then after we've eaten it then we can now continue the this thing. Excuse me please. We can now continue the yes, we are done. Our snack is done. Chill Zobo. Okay. Zobo community. I say community. Oh, English. Zobo committee. Oh, yeah. Me, I'm in the, I don't know. I'm in peppermint committee. We chilled cook with some chilled cook. Yes. Orange juice. Okay. Orange juice. All right, so our buns. Don't worry, this my camera is not doing justice to this. I'm going to snap it specially and I'm going to show us this the wonderful snack we've made. I'm going to snap this specially and I'm still going to post this video so that you can watch. So this is our buns. In case you are just joining us, I talked about how we can achieve measurements in our layman's way with the little with the utensils we have in the house. Because all of us we like making all these little pastries, especially when you have kids. You can make this kind. You see, it did not take me. It's because I'm making video. If I was not making video, this will not take me up to 30 minutes. I'm done. Yes, I'm done because the meeting is sharp, sharp. Just keep it for like 5 10 minutes, then you start frying, and your children have enjoyed, you have eaten something yummy. Mommy give me snack, mommy give me snack, this one sharp sharp you've done it. Unlike puff puff that you need to wake up early in the morning, mix it, allow it to rise for like 30 minutes. It depends on the day the weather is very cold. Oh sorry, yeast yeast actually like hot weather. In short, when the weather, that's why you don't mix yeast with cold water. No, you always mix your yeast with warm water. Maybe one of the live I'm doing, I'm going to look for one simple yeast snack so that we'll just make it, so that we can see the difference between the two, and we can be gisting as we are waiting for the snack to rise. Yes, I'm going to make one, then I'm going to bring up another topic in between, so that as we're waiting for it to rise, we can be discussing. Thank you all for having spending your time with me. Vicky's Corner, thank you. Delicious Amin, thank you. Chinonso Keke, Zobo Committee, thank you. Chidinma, thank you. And every other person that is in the background and supporting. Thank you. I love you all, and thanks for having this evening with me. Hope we do have a wonderful and good evening. Thank you. Don't worry, I'm going to send all of you your own puff puff, especially on your page, one after the other. So if you just yeah, catch, I mean, catch. Oh yeah, Vicky. Oh yeah, everybody catch. Oh, oh my God, I've never tried to see the texture. Whoa, this is good. This is good. On this note, let me go and look for my chilled juice, Zobo, Fanta, or whatever I have in the fridge to enjoy this. Huh. Thank you very much. Good night.